Two of my favourite game series of all time are Stronghold and Age of Empires, and both of these iconic franchises have taken their own approach to myth and legend. Firefly Studios gave us Stronghold Legends a unique spin on their castle building strategy formula, while Assemble Studios brought us Age of Mythology, a mythical evolution of the classic Age of Empires gameplay. Now I love both of these games, but which one is truly the best? In today's video I'll be comparing them across multiple categories in which the games share similarities, to determine which stands tall as the ultimate legend and myth RTS experience. Let's start with the campaigns. Age of Mythology follows Arkantos, a hero from Atlantis, as he embarks on an epic journey through Greek, Egyptian and Norse mythology. The story is filled with grand set-piece battles, larger-than-life gods, and some truly memorable characters. It plays out like an interactive mythological epic, packed with engaging cutscenes and a sense of adventure that keeps you hooked. Meanwhile, Stronghold Legends takes a different approach, offering 3 separate campaigns based on King Arthur, Siegfried and Vlad the Impaler, all legends from European myth. However, unlike Age of Mythology's single overarching story, Legend splits its narrative between different factions, giving each one a distinct theme and playstyle. The Arthurian campaign follows the story of King Arthur in his search to find the Knights of the Round Table and the Holy Grail.
You have chosen wisely.
The Ice campaign follows Dietrich's quest to cross the Alps, and the Evil campaign focuses on Vlad the Impaler in his quest to consolidate his powers in line with the powers of darkness. Both campaigns offer unique experiences, but Age of Mythology edges out in front, with its stronger storytelling, voice acting and cinematic approach. Stronghold Legends, while fun, feels more like a series of loosely connected battles rather than a grand adventure, and its stories aren't as memorable. I do love the overdramatic voiceovers for mission introductions, however.
The Round Table gone, a champion disgraced, and a king about to execute his queen. To think I should live to see a day like this!
And the challenge of Vlad's campaign is quite something, easily being one of the most challenging campaigns in the Stronghold series.
This is not meant to be! My kingdom is in ruin!
Next up, faction diversity. Age of Mythology offers 3 primary civilizations, Greeks, Egyptians and Norse, later expanded with the Atlanteans and Chinese in expansions. Each faction has completely unique playstyles with their own unique units of research and god powers, making them feel distinct, and they are further diversified by the player having to select an individual god to play as, which refines unique units, research and god powers even further. Each faction suits a specific playstyle, with the Greeks having a strong focus on heroes and playing out most similar to traditional Age of Empires. Then you have the Norse, a great faction for aggressive players, with troops building buildings and favour being gained through fighting. The Egyptians are a hard-hitting but slow to build economic powerhouse. In contrast, Stronghold Legend features 3 factions, Arthurian, Ice and Evil. Each has exclusive units and special abilities. The Arthurians take inspiration from the Greeks in Age of Mythology, where their focus being on hero units or legendary units as they are known in Stronghold Legends, but their playstyle most similar to traditional Stronghold. Then you have the Ice faction, most similar to the Egyptians, even though they are based on the Norse, with their hard-hitting fantasy units like giants and fast-moving chariots, i.e. witches. And then there is Evil, with fast, hard-hitting units like the Werewolf and Vampire Bat, and who have churches unavailable to them as a form of generating honour.
You desecrate the house of God!
Meaning they have to utilise statues to generate honour more than other factions, which can only be built by generating military points through fighting, giving them a similar feel to the Norse in Age of Mythology. However, beneath each faction in Stronghold Legends they keep the core gameplay. Building your castle and managing your economy remains similar across all factions, as well as non-fantasy units like archers and macemen remaining the same. While there are differences, they don't drastically alter how you approach the game like in Age of Mythology. They are more akin to Age of Empires 2 and 1, which I personally prefer, as it makes it more accessible to switch between factions, whereas in Age of Mythology I mainly play as the Egyptians as Isis, liking their strong economy, good defence and due to enjoying war elephants way too much. For faction variety, Age of Mythology wins due to its fundamentally different playstyles, but if you are like me and enjoy switching between factions with ease, Stronghold Legends may be more enjoyable to you. Both entries embraced their fantasy setting but chose different ways to approach magic in the game. In Stronghold Legends, legendary or hero units as known in Age of Mythology come with spells or special attacks. You have Merlin and the Knights of the Round Table for the Arthurian faction, Ice Queen for the Ice, or the Sorcerer for Evil. Each of these hero units comes with a unique spell, shaking up gameplay considerably and making for some truly heart-stopping moments, where you pray you don't miss a spell attack or you drastically scramble to take out a sorcerer before he rains death upon your entire army. Due to the Arthurians' over-availability of legendary units, the faction doesn't have any fantasy units, like the Ice faction or Evil faction, making them somewhat overpowered when it comes to sieges, with defensive spells, healing spells and the ability to blast units off walls. The Ice Queen and the Sorcerer do have a massive punch though with their attacks, the Meteor Strike and the Snowstorm, and their ability to wield fire and ice can be devastating to invading forces. These abilities function like hero skills, allowing for tactical play, similar to gameplay seen in the Battle for Middle-earth series. In Age of Mythology, instead of individual hero spells, each civilization gains access to god powers, which can range from summoning meteor strikes to providing perfect conditions for your farms. God powers used to just have a one-time use per game in the original game before Age of Mythology Retold, which changed gameplay so powers could be reused with enough favour to purchase them. The one-time use of the original game for powers made players have to carefully consider when best to use them, which added depth to gameplay, but I personally prefer the ability to reuse powers as seen and Retold, as it makes missions more fun in my opinion. Heroes in the game don't have spells, but some do provide buffs to units or buildings, and work as part of traditional rock paper scissors formula, as a strong unit against myth units but weak against infantry. The Greeks have an abundance of heroes as mentioned before, some with unique buffs. The Egyptians have pharaohs and priests who can boost buildings and heal units, and the Norse Herrscher who leads armies and has a unique buff depending on the Norse god played. This category depends on preference. Stronghold Legends gives you continuous spell-based unit abilities, while Age of Mythology offers massive game-changing god powers. If you enjoy moment-to-moment tactical spell usage and the heart-pounding moments of timing those perfect attacks, Legends is your game. But for strategic game-defining abilities, Age of Mythology wins. A battle of the titans, literally. Stronghold Legends has dragons, a very powerful unit that has its own unique take for each faction. You have the green dragon for the Arthurian faction, ice dragon for the ice faction, and the black dragon for evil. These legendary beasts can devastate enemy ground forces and defences with either fire or ice, depending on the faction played. Dragons are set to a timer of 3 minutes and are vulnerable to missile fire, and in particular dragon harpoons, although they can take a few shots unlike Smaug in The Hobbit. Due to their vulnerability against missiles, dragons are best used to attack forces moving between castles, catching them in the open and dealing vast damage. I personally would have liked dragons to take more missile fire than they do, but the choice by Firefly does stop them from being so powerful they will break the game. Either way, commanding a dragon is just awesome and never gets old. Meanwhile, Age of Mythology, the Titans expansion introduced Titans, massive godlike creatures that act as ultimate endgame units. They're slow but incredibly powerful, capable of single-handedly tearing down cities. Each faction has its own unique Titans, similar to how dragons are in Stronghold Legends. The Greeks have Cerberus, Egyptians Ra, Norse have a frost giant, Atlanteans have a giant lava golem, and the Chinese have Pangu, a horned giant that separated yin and yang. These creatures are truly devastating and on par with wonders for winning the game. The only real defense is to build another Titan to bring your foes down. In Stronghold Legends, dragons are more integrated into regular army compositions, while Titans are endgame and powerhouses. Dragons are strong, but due to their 3-minute timing and vulnerability to dragon harpoons, they aren't as endgame bringing as Titans seen in Age of Mythology. If you want a balanced super unit, Stronghold Legends is your pick, but if you prefer massive ultimate units to crush your foes, Age of Mythology wins. Both games introduced new graphical mechanics and art styles to their respective series. Age of Mythology brought the Age of series into 3D, introducing physics, god powers, new terrain and a beautiful art style to the game. Stronghold Legends introduced magical effects, new terrains and a refinement to the Stronghold 2 engine. Both games for me look great, suiting their settings perfectly. Magical effects in Stronghold Legends look awesome and in my view are probably some of the best work Firefly has ever done. Hopefully one day Firefly will bring us Stronghold Legends too, as sieges and legends are truly something to behold, with dragons raining death from above like seen in Game of Thrones.
Those fuckers are about to swamp us.
We can hold them off.
spells and traps looking brilliant. The new terrain added, such as ice for the ice faction and molten rock for evil, also enhanced gameplay, especially when it comes to estates, as you can now literally see factions expand across the map as the terrain changes, similar to that seen in the Dungeon series.
The horrific evil had destroyed a camp in the overworld. The defeated heroes ran away crying and tried to entrench themselves behind even higher walls.
The physics added to Age of Mythology is where it truly shines, with Minotaurs hurling units, Krakens chucking units across the map, and buildings crumbling. It really enhances the epicness of the mythological setting. These effects would go on to be fully realised in Age of Empires 3. The remastering of Age of Mythology Retold, of which I am using the footage in this video, makes it one of the prettiest RTS games I have ever played, taking the engine further than even what is seen in Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. Stronghold Legends has also been enhanced with the Steam edition released in 2016, giving it a sharper look, and the game is a huge improvement over Stronghold 2 in regards to the engine and how it looks. Looks wise, Stronghold Legends has no chance of competing with Retold, but for me it is one of the best looking games in the Stronghold series. Hopefully one day Legends will get the same treatment as Mythology and get its own version of Retold. With Crusader Definitive Edition just been announced though, this is a long way off. One can only dream.
What is it, Mr. Furrow? Nothing. Just a dream.
Age of Mythology features an iconic orchestral soundtrack that is fully developed for the game and has one of the most memorable soundtracks in video games. The Egyptian soundtrack for me is just perfect. Stronghold Legends sticks closer to its medieval-inspired music, maintaining many songs from past games, but adding in additional songs to the mix, including its iconic loading song. I just think it's perfect for the game, mixing medieval atmosphere with an erratic fantasy element. If you want grandeur, Age of Mythology takes the lead, but Stronghold Legends still delivers a solid medieval fantasy vibe, while also holding on to many great Stronghold songs from the past. The voice work in both games is also great, with Age of Mythology having iconic phrases similar to Age of Empires, coming across as epic and authentic to the time period, with truly epic sounds from myth units and battles really getting the player immersed in the mythical setting. Legends, on the other hand, doesn't take itself too seriously, with your typical over-the-top funny Stronghold unit phrases and taunts from AI lords, seen in other Stronghold entries, as well as some fantastic new voice work for new fantasy units and legendary characters. I mean, just how evil does this sorcerer sound? It's just great.
Is there blood to be boiled?
For me, Stronghold Legends wins out, as I just love the over-the-top voice work, and I think it really suits the fantasy setting in the game. I do still love Mythology's soundtrack and the sound effects, however. I just don't feel they embrace the fantasy setting quite as fully as Stronghold Legends soundtrack does, and it would still fit in quite well with other entries in the Age of series.
Volume Malista.
For me, both games shake up the formula of their respective series a lot. Age of Mythology takes the Age of Empires formula and dramatically transforms its core economic gameplay. Favour is now needed instead of stone as a resource, perks are selected and given when levelling up, civilizations are vastly different, and town centres can only be built in pre-selected spots. It plays and feels differently to other entries in the Age of Empires series, although it follows the same basic formula. Mythical and hero units, however, in the game, while great, for me just don't change up the rock paper scissors formula as much as I would have hoped. Stronghold Legends, on the other hand, doesn't reinvent Stronghold, but rather enhances it, with fantasy elements. The core gameplay remains similar to Stronghold 2, just with legendary units, magical abilities, and a refined focus on Stronghold's RTS elements over Sim, with the game stripping back many of the castle management aspects of its predecessor. The addition of fantasy units in Legends really add a new dynamic to the game, much more so than heroes and myth units do in Age of Mythology. For me, this is the Stronghold game that most benefits the attacker. You can now throw werewolves over walls, making them basically fly and wolf macemen that can quickly overcome enemy archers and siege defences. You can convert archers with vampire creepers, which can instantly swing the tide of battle, and you can render archers useless with Sir Gawaine's shield spell. So many fantasy units in the game add whole new dimensions to sieges. The ability to man siege towers is also amazing in this game, really helping with offensive tactics. So which game is better? If you love defensive strategy, spell-focused gameplay, and the Stronghold formula with a unique spin, Stronghold Legends is a fantastic choice. But if you want a more serious RTS that sticks to the traditional formulas, a fully realised, engaging, story-driven campaign, truly unique factions, and beautiful graphics, Age of Mythology is the stronger game overall. Both are great games, and in this video I hope to highlight their similarities and differences. Perhaps one day Stronghold Legends will receive the remaster treatment it deserves, just like Age of Mythology did. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Stronghold and RTS discussions. Thanks for watching.